Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is part 5 of 9 of the midterm extravaganza. Today we're talking about the South Atlantic region, in which there are 8 states to discuss: Delaware, Florida, Georgia, Maryland, North and South Carolina, and Virginia, and then lastly West Virginia. Same as usual: governor's elections, Senate elections, House elections, and ballot initiatives. I don't want to make this video an hour long, so let's rush into things. Few down ballot races and the House election. So it's Lisa Rochester against Lee Murphy. It's not going to be a surprise that Delaware is a safe Democrat state, so Murphy's not going to win. Next up is Florida. There's a lot going on here, particularly the governor's election, which is predicted to be high profile, but I don't think it's going to be. Senate election, House election, ballot initiatives, and a bunch of other things. So first off, Ronald DeSantis against Charlie Crist. So both individuals held the rank of governor. Crist did in the early 2000s, and then he left to try and become senator. Didn't really work out. Let's just say that. So this has always been a kind of a swing position. But usually incumbents win by a bigger margin than the initial stage. So DeSantis won by about 40,000 votes last time around against the crackhead. So that was a fun one. Currently, GOP is underestimated for this particular position by about 5 points. So I want to take that into account. RHP has a DeSantis plus 13, and 538 has a DeSantis plus 10, so we don't even have to question about whether Charlie Crist is actually going to do anything here. He's just going to get curb stomped. So that's going to be a pretty fun thing to watch, I think, in November. How he's just going to get absolutely humiliated on state level. And hopefully he will never ever try to do anything in politics again. Senate election, Marco Rubio against Val Demings. So both held state office. Demings represents Orlando and the federal level, and she decided to humiliate herself on this end too. So Rubio, 3-term senator. He is part of the Tea Party caucus, I think. So he won big in 2010. He won big again in 2016, and now he's going to win a bit about a similar margin. Republicans for this particular seat were also underestimated by 5 points, and this is mainly due to the election with Rick Scott over at 2018, I think it was, where Democrats thought that Bill Nelson was going to hang on, and that obviously didn't happen. So I think 10 to 15 points for Mr. Rubio. Very likely. First district, this is the Northwest. Matt Gaetz, safe victory. Second district, this is the one that's been consolidated between the 2nd and the 5th. So you no longer have that ugly wide district over at Northern Florida. I think it's good, because in my opinion districts should be as compact as possible. Neil Dunn, incumbent against Al Lawson. Incumbent, well, it's going to be pretty obvious. This is a Republican-leaning district now, so Al Lawson can enjoy his retirement. Third district, Kat Kamek, safe Republican district. There's nothing to worry about here. Fourth district, again, safe Republican district. Fifth district, John Rutherford. He doesn't even face any opposition, so safe. 6th district, Michael Waltz. Again, safe victory. He isn't even facing a Democrat, so super wide margin. 7th district, this one was newly created. Moved from, it was heavily redistricted. D plus 5 to R plus 14, so basically it's a Republican district. Corey Mills is going to win. I was hoping that Anthony Sabatini won this one in a primary, but we can't have everything. So Corey Mills, I'm holding my breath for that guy. I don't have much confidence in him, but let's see what he can do. 8th District, Bill Posey, easy victory. Ninth is Darren Soto, safe Democrat district. It's going to be wider than 2020. Going to be more than 10. Probably nearing 20 points. 10th district. This is where Val Demings is from. She's going to be replaced by Maxwell Frost. Safe Democrat district. The 11th, Daniel Webster, is a safe Republican district. Goes Billy Rockus against Kimberly Walker over to 12th, safe Republican district. We kind of have a pattern here where every district is either safe Republican or safe Democrat, so there's not much to talk about in Georgia. Or Florida, and then later in Georgia the same story. Kind of funny how it is in the South. Anna Luna against Eric Lynn. This is Charlie Crist's district. Moved from R+1 to R+12, so it's basically a safe Republican seat. 10 to 15 points for Anna Luna. And again, I have to hold my breath for what she's going to do. Kathy Castor, this is basically the Tampa area. Moved significantly more towards the Democrat column, so it's going to be more than 20 points for Castor. The 15th, Laurel Lee against Alan Cohn. This one is a newly created district. This one was added because of the census. 10 to 15 points. I think it's an R+8 district, so yeah, not really much to worry about. Vern Buchanan in the 16th, safe district. Greg Stube over at the 17th, safe district. 18th district, Scott Franklin, safe district. Byron Donalds over at the 19th, safe. 20th is the western side of Miami. This is safe Democrat territory. 21st, Brian Mast, safe district. 22nd, Lois Frankel. This one is leaning a little bit more to the Republican side, but then again it's 1, maybe 2 points. So it's still a D+16 area. So not really much to worry about. Jared Moskowitz over at the 23rd, so he's going to be replacing Ted Deutsch. He's retiring this year around. Moskowitz, I think 5 to 10 points. This one is one of the areas in Miami that is not as heavily Democrat as you may expect. I think it's about D+6, so it may flip in the future depending on how the Hispanic population in Florida is going to be swinging. I don't think Democrats are going to do well in Miami-Dade in the future, and there's a very great likelihood that Miami-Dade will flip either this year or the next presidential year. Frederica Wilson over at the 24th, safe Democrat district. Debbie Wasserman over at the 25th, safe Democrat district. 26th, Mario Diaz, safe district. For the Republicans, Maria Salazar over at southern Miami. This is a Hispanic district, so this is, as you see in 2018 and 2020, was basically flipping all around, and now because of the Cuban and Venezuelan population, this is basically a safe victory for Salazar. Gonna win by about 10 points. Carlos Jimenez, again, this was also a safe district, but same story as the 27th. Heavy swing towards the Republican side, so safe victory for him. In the end, DeSantis re-elected, Rubio re-elected, one new district, and it's going to be a 20 to 8 majority for the Republicans in D.C. 3 ballot measures. The one is for flood resistance improvements to disregard it for property value. I think it's a good idea to make sure that any improvements you make to your house when it comes to environmental damage, you shouldn't be taxed for that. I think everyone can agree on that. Constitution Revision Commission is a member of a group that comes together every 20 years to effectively pitch constitutional changes, and usually it's a giant mess and nobody gets anywhere, so it's a waste of time. Which is why the Republican Party of Florida wants to get rid of it. I think that's a smart idea. And then the homestead property for public service. Basically, if you an additional $50,000 will be tax exempt for those who work in the public sector, so teachers, law enforcement, emergency personnel, active duty military, welfare, think that's a good idea. Next, state of Georgia. We have a governor's race, Senate race, House races, and ballot measures, and a bunch of down ballot stuff. Brian Kemp against Stacey Abrams, so this is a rematch from the last time around. It's going to be a little wider than last time, 5 to 10 points, kind of easy. Democrats are underestimated in polling for this particular area, but then again, it's only about 2 points, so it's not going to magically switch the race from Republican to Democrat. So it's going to be a while until there's a Democrat governor in Georgia, and I think that's going to be about 2030, when there is actually a Democrat governor, following current trends, so not this time around. Senate race, Warnock against Walker. This is a fun one. It is effectively a pure toss-up. Republicans aren't really underestimated in this race, so it seems like polling in Georgia is actually pretty on point. So, in my personal opinion, Warnock won by 2 points, and it's basically in a giant, messy election. It's part of a special election. Kelly Loeffler, horrible candidate. Brian Kemp, absolute idiot for nominating her. He should have done Doug Collins or something like that. So, yeah, at this point it's a pure toss-up. I think it is virtually guaranteed to go to a runoff. And with Georgia and runoffs in its history, it's effectively guaranteed to flip to Walker, because the incumbent always loses. And I do mean always. If there is any race in Georgia that is going to go to a runoff, the incumbent loses. I can't stress that enough. So we can expect this to flip, but for now I'm just going to say it's a 2 to 5 point margin. Both individuals are at 46 in the aggregate, so it's not looking good for Raphael Warnock. First district, Earl Carter. This is a safe district. More than 20 points. Second district, Sanford Bishop. It's looking like it's going to tighten in polling. For now I'm going to say 10 to 15 points. I might choose in a later period, like in 2 weeks, to revisit this, seeing if there's any significant changes, but for now Bishop is going to hold on. Ferguson on the third district, safe victory. Henry Johnson, safe victory. I think that this guy's pretty funny because he thinks that islands float, so that's always a fun thing to see at parties. Fifth district, Nakima Williams. She has replaced John Lewis. This is a safe race for her, so there's not going to be any challenges. Sixth district, Rich McCormick. This one is flipping from D+1 to R+24 with the redistricting cycle, basically forcing both incumbents to move to the 7th. Safe victory for McCormick. 7th district, Lucy McBath against Mark Gonzalez. Carolyn Bordeaux initially held this seat, but she got kicked out. D+20, at least. Austin Scott over at the 8th, safe victory. 9th victory, Anna Clyde, safe victory. Mike Collins, he is actually not incumbent, so I'm going to change that. Jody Heiss ran for Secretary of State. Lost that race, but mostly because people didn't know he was Trump endorsed. So it was really the testament to what an uninformed public does. Safe Republican victory. And this again, Mike Collins. I was hoping Doug Collins was going for this race, but no. Barry Loudermilk, 11th district, safe victory. 12th district, Rick Allen, safe victory. David Scott over at the 13th, safe victory. Marjorie Taylor Greene over at the 14th, safe victory. So, I'm going to go out on a limb, say Governor Kemp re-elected. I'm going to say Warnock has a greater than 50% chance of losing this. And the 6 will flip due to redistricting, so it's a 9-5 majority in the House for the Republicans. And it's probably going to be a split delegation in the Senate. You can expect that. 4 measures, 1 on administration, 3 on taxes. So if an individual is indicted, currently they still get money until conviction. And the state legislator wants to make sure that if you're indicted, you don't get any money either. think that is pretty smart. The property tax change for disaster areas. So you get tax relief in case of a natural disaster. If your house floods, you don't pay any taxes for a small period of time until you're actually fixed. I think that's a great idea. Why it hasn't been a thing, I'm surprised. Timber equipment, so basically if you need anything to harvest wood or produce wood for construction, that kind of stuff, all the equipment is tax exempt. That's good for industry. And the second one is the same story, but then for dairy products and eggs, to have all that stuff exempt for taxes. I think that's also a great idea. State of Maryland. There's governor's race, Senate, House, ballot measures, and some down ballot stuff, but we don't worry about that. Governor Larry Hogan, he is term limited, and we don't have to worry about it. Westmore, safe Democrat victory. State is radically shifting towards the Democrats, and it's not going to be a swing this state anymore. At least regarding to governorships, regarding to anything. Senate race. Chris Van Hollen against Chris Jaffe. Safe victory for Van Hollen. Andrew Harris in first. Redistricting cycle was a bit lucky for this guy, because otherwise he would have been in an R+4 seat instead of R+20. So luckily the Democrat court in Maryland threw it out for over partisanship. You know, even a broken clock is right twice a day. So Harris is going to hang on. Yeah, Dutch Rippersberger over at the 2nd District, safe victory. This is northern Baltimore, that particular area. John Sabanes over at the 3rd, safe victory. Glenn Ivey, 4th District, safe victory. He is not incumbent. He will be in the next cycle, so whatever. Steny Hoyer, this is southern side, adjacent to DC, safe victory. 6th District, this one is adjacent to West Virginia, and this is a pure toss-up. RCP is Parrott +2, and 538 is Trone +2. Both individuals held the seat. Parrott did in 2016, and then David Trone swung in it. Or it was 2014, something like that. So both of them held this seat before. So I think it's a pure toss-up, and regarding the size of the Republican wave, there's a likelihood this is going to flip. 7th District. This one is Baltimore replacing Elijah Cummings. Safe victory for the Democrat. And I have Jamie Raskin, adjacent to DC. He's representing Frederick currently, Frederick, Maryland, and this guy. Yeah, he's a safe victory, but I'm not a fan, and I'm pretty sure that no one in this particular area is a fan of the guy. So this is a particular case of, if you put a glass of water, stamp a D on it, and the guy wins. That's the kind of district this is. So, at a summary, the only thing we have to watch for in 2 weeks is the 6th District. 5 measures. One is renaming the courts to Court of Appeals becomes the Supreme Court, and the Court of Special Appeals becomes the Appellate Court. So basically it's drawing everything the same as all the other states are. I think there's only 1 or 2 states currently in the Union that don't have a Supreme Court, and they named it something else, so kind of drawing the lines the same. Next one is a residency requirement for legislators. Basically, if you move to a particular side of the state, you have to live there within a year. Otherwise, you aren't allowed to be there. And there are some language changes that they want to do, and they just snuck it in here, because otherwise they wouldn't have passed it. Civil jury trials. Basically, it says that jury duty will only be allocated in case the damage is higher than $25,000. So it ups the requirement by about 70%. 4th one is legalizing marijuana. Yeah, there's not much to discuss about that. And the 5th one is requiring Howard County judges to serve on the orphan court. Pretty self-explanatory. North Carolina, we only have Senate races and House races. Governor's races are done outside of the cycle, so this one is 2023 when there's a governor's election. Senate, Ted Budd, congressman, against Cherry Beasley, who's a Supreme Court justice over at North Carolina. Basically the same state, right? So Richard Burr's retiring because he fears that he's going to lose. Understandably, nobody likes the guy. Republicans are underestimated by more than 5 points in this particular race. And if we adjust for that, then Budd is leading by about 8 points. And there have been several pollsters who basically write down Budd +2, and then behind closed doors they are acknowledging that Budd is leading by more than 5 points. It's almost like they want to paint a picture that is in favor of the Democrats. Never heard of that one before. So Ted Budd, 5 to 10 points, probably going to be leading more towards 10 at this point because of the size of the Republican wave. First district, George Butterfield is retiring. Don Davis against Sandy Smith, they seek to replace him. I think the seat of this district is swing. It's about D+4, D+5. So at that particular rate, we can already see that Butterfield lost about 30 points of his lead in the last election. Continuing exile, it would probably be a flip, but I think this one is going to be a very narrow election. This is kind of indicating of what the state of North Carolina is going to do for the next presidential cycle. If the Republicans win this one, pretty easy that Republicans will win this state in 2024. Second district, Deborah Ross, safe victory. Third district, Greg Murphy, safe victory. Fourth one, Valerie Fouché, she's going to replace David Price, who's retiring. Virginia Fox in the 5th district, safe victory. Kathy Manning over at the 6th, safe victory. Due to redraw, so it's about 5 to 10 points, I think. Could be a little less, depending on the size of the wave. And the funny part about North Carolina is the Supreme Court in the next cycle may be Republican leaning, and then decide to throw out the map again. It's what happens basically every single election. David Rouser over at the 7th district, safe victory for the Republicans. Dan Bishop, safe victory. At the 8th, Richard Hudson at the 9th district, safe victory. 10th district, Patrick McHenry, safe victory. 11th, Chuck Edwards, he primaried Madison Cawthorn. And this district is safe Republican, so this guy, it's easy that he's going to win. 12th district, Alma Adams over at Charlotte, safe victory. Bo Hines, this is in a new district. Well, technically it's Ted Budd's district, but it's drawn in such a way that it's essentially as a new one. Currently this is basically a swing district, but Hines is leading by quite a margin, so I think it's about 2 to 5 points. This time around it's going to be Republican, depending on the next wave over 2024. Maybe it may swing, may stay, we don't know. Jeff Jackson, this is southern Charlotte. Technically this is also a new district. I think the district is about D+12, D+10, something like that. So I think likely victory for Jackson, depending on the size of the wave, of course. So it's going to be 2 Republicans in the Senate. Republicans hold the majority in the delegation. South Carolina, governor's election, Senate, House, ballot measures, and then some down ballot stuff. Henry McMaster, he is running against former Congressman Joe Cunningham. This is at the top of the ballot. Governors, usually this is more of a swing kind of election, but in this kind of environment it's going to be a safe victory for McMaster, and then it's going to be term limit, so it's going to be surprising who's going to be getting this seat in 2026. I don't know who is, but it's probably going to be one of the congressmen. He's going to run away with it. Tim Scott as senator, safe victory. Not much to talk about. Nancy Mace over at the 1st. Yeah, this is basically one district that swung in the late end of the 2010 census. Now it's a lot safer of a Republican seat, and Nancy Mace is going to hang on quite easily. 2nd district, Joe Wilson, safe victory. Jeff Duncan in the 3rd, unopposed. William Timmons over at the 4th district, safe unopposed. Ralph Norman in the 5th district, unopposed. Yeah, well, it's essentially unopposed, but then again, this guy's running ahead with about 30 points. Essentially, there's no opposition. 6th, James Clyburn, safe victory. Russell Fry, he replaced one of the impeachment 10, Tom Rice, safe victory for this guy. This is essentially it. 2 ballot measures regarding budget. So the General Reserve Fund is increased by 2 points incrementally. And it's basically used to cover budget deficits. And then you have the Capital Reserve Fund, which is also expanded. And this one is a backup mechanism in case the General Reserve Fund is insufficient. State of Virginia, House races and a bunch of other stuff, but only the House. 1st district, Robert Whitman, safe victory. 2nd district moved from R+2 to R+6. This one is belonging to Elaine Luria. And I'm gonna say this. She's challenged by Jennifer Kiggins, and Kiggins is gonna win by about 2 to 5 points. So no one's gonna flip. This is the outskirts of Virginia Beach. They have Robert Scott in the 3rd, safe victory. This is basically Norfolk. 4th district, Ashton McEachin, safe victory. Bob Good in the 5th, safe victory. This one's going to be a little less than 20, but then a win is a win, right? 6th district, Benjamin Klein, safe victory. 7th, Abigail Spanberger against Ashley Vega. This one is one of the races to watch. It's a pure toss-up. 2 to 5 points, can go either way. And yeah, so it already was a quite narrow election. So regarding the swing of the state, if Vega is pushing the right buttons, let's say crime, law enforcement, maybe education, then she can pull it off if she keeps going again, doing the standard Republican to reduce your taxes kind of campaigning. She's gonna lose. So it's going to be a testament on how effective your campaigning should be. 8th district, Don Bayer, safe victory. 9th, Morgan Griffith, safe victory. 10th, Jennifer Waxton against Hung Kiao. This is outskirts of DC, so it's on the northern side, basically Loudoun County. Some polling appears to make it quite a bit narrower than it actually should be. Some individuals have it as a pure toss-up. I'm gonna go out on a limb and say not much. It's gonna be closer, but it's not gonna be that much closer. 5 to 10 points. And if it's really a bad year for Democrats, then yes, there is a possibility of it flipping. And that's like a 1 in 10 shot. You have 11th district, General Connolly, safe victory. And that's basically it for Virginia. So it's a 5 to 5 delegation, and the last seat decides it all. Virginia is 7th. West Virginia, House races, there are only 2. Carol Miller, she moved from the 3rd district. Safe victory for her. And then you have for the 2nd district, which is consolidated between the 1st and the 2nd. Alexander Moonley defeated David McKinley in the primary, and this seat is now much more Republican leading. So it's a safe victory for this guy. I don't think that the write-in campaign is going to even do much. Senate delegation is unchanged. That's going to be the big surprise of next election cycle, because then it's Joe Manchin up for re-election. So we have to watch that one. 4 measures. The first one is asserting that the courts have no role in the impeachment proceedings, and this was kind of a gray area in the West Virginia Constitution, so it's kind of defining that it's only a thing that the Senate can do. The second amendment is tax exemption for vehicles and personal property used for businesses. So it's making taxable inventory of companies tax exempt. So it helps small business. Amendment 3, incorporation of religious denomination in churches. Basically it allows churches to get, 501c3 and that kind of stuff in the state. Usually until now it was prohibited. It's one of the, I think West Virginia is the only state that has it banned. So now they're going to allow it. And the fourth one is regarding education, and they essentially want to make it that all the rules and policies that a school board wants to use in the state of West Virginia, they have to get approval by the legislative. And the legislative can then also vote to get rid of particular sections if they don't like it. So this is their way of combating woke education, so that's pretty good in my opinion. Alright. This concludes part 5 of our series. Thank you for watching. Like the video if you liked it. Kindly share it if you think it's valuable. Subscribe if you want more content like this. Thank you very much, and I wish you all a very good day.